This is an Interface Death presentation.
Hi, it's Justin with Interface Death. During my ghost box video, I said I was going to make a video about EVPs and the devices I use to capture EVPs. So not only am I going to do that, I'm going to be talking about the ghost box versus the EVP and its credibility and worth as paranormal evidence in the field, and its pros and cons of each. I'm going to be talking about spirit modulation and spirit induction, and what the definitions of those are and how they're involved with the devices. And towards the end, I want to get into a little bit of theory crafting about spirits and how they're involved with electromagnetic fields. But first off, the ghost box. As I already said, great tool, very useful, produces a lot of content for you to analyze. There's a particular session in my garage that really is amazing. If you haven't heard that, you should check that out. It's like what I like to think the most perfect ghost box session you could have, period. It's got all the right, things happening, as far as what you get, Class A responses to your questions. You can automatically roll out that it's radio traffic, and it's definitely spooky. It's definitely worth looking into. The digital recorder. It's very rare that you get a Class A EVP. And what a Class A EVP is, a loud, clear voice that easily can be heard and understood by multiple people without tampering with it or enhancing it at all. So if you get something like that, that in itself is a very strong piece of paranormal evidence, because it can't be dismissed as radio announcer or radio traffic over the radio. And it's much more credible because of that. But with my experience and from what I've observed from other investigators in the field, that it's rare that you get a really, really clear, loud response. And there's a reason. And I'm going to discuss the reason, what I think the reason is. And that's where spirit modulation and spirit induction come in. It takes spirit modulation to use this. A spirit must modulate the signal. It takes spirit induction to use this. The spirit must induct the electric flow in the microphone in order to get a voice to come through. Over here, Christy, if you can zoom in on the screen, get a good frame in on it. This is modulation. This is just a picture, a snapshot of one of the videos that I have about how AM and FM radios work on my site, if you want to check it out. But this is what I'm using. It's giving an illustration of a radio wave with a RF carrier wave, modulated and everything, being received by an AM receiver, the antenna. And the illustration here is lightning storms can interfere and modulate the signal. So this is how a spirit would modulate a radio wave in the same fashion. It will be picked up by the AM receiver through the air. If all they got to do is use their electromagnetic interference to modulate the signal, and that can be done by spirit modulation. And that's why I'm able to hear their responses over here because they modulate what I receive. Okay? Alright, Christy, if you can zoom in on the opposite screen. This is induction. This is what a spirit has to do to use a digital recorder to speak with you. Now, this coil is in the microphone, and the magnet would represent a spirit within the electromagnetic field, and you can see the lines. And once they come into close proximity to the coil, the electromagnetic lines change the flow of the electrons in the coil, therefore changing the voltage and the overall energy flow in the microphone of the digital recorder. And this is how they control how they can sound and how we're able to record them. It's pretty amazing. You can pull back out of that now. But yeah, that's much harder to do. That's why it's rare to get it, because they have to be in close proximity to it and they have to know how to use it. And that's what I don't understand. Is it a normal thing that spirits are capable of doing, innately? Or is it something that you have to learn, or is it something only few spirits are, privileged to have the skill to do? That I would love to know the answer to. But until we do, we can only just keep testing and keep trying to get EVPs and see, if spirits are slowly getting easier to understand. That might indicate that they're learning. I'd like to think that's the case, and it's like a two-way door as far as the communication goes. But I don't know yet. The dynamic is very unclear, but it's still coherent in the data collection department. And what I mean by that is, just push play on some of those ghost box recordings and you'll get the definition of coherent. But yeah, that's pretty much spirit modulation and spirit induction in a nutshell. Now, let's see what else I need to talk about here. EMF and spirits. I'm just going to go into that real quick. Not too nerdy, but a lot of theories point to electromagnetic fields being what spirits are made out of. So that's pretty much the essence of a spirit, and all of the field is the presence of the flow of electricity or energy of some form. So if it's spiritual energy and it's flowing through the environment, then it's going to cause a field. So I don't like to think of the spirit itself as the field. I like to think that's its footsteps. That's its way of coming across to us. That's, the smoke that it leaves behind. And it's just a tool that the spirit can use to manipulate the devices and do a range of many other things. But just the physical presence of the electromagnetic field may not indicate the exact location of a spirit, nor should it indicate that it's the presence of a spirit. It's the presence of a spirit manipulating the environment, but maybe not so much the spirit itself, because I believe that spirits that are already crossed over can still manipulate the environment via electromagnetic fields from other planes, other spiritual dimensions. Maybe the spirit world, maybe there's one, don't know. But I believe that spirits can do this remotely, and then I believe that spirits can also roam once they enter this prime-material plane. They can roam around once they're here, and they can pop in and out of different places. That's safe to assume. So, when thinking about electromagnetic fields and how they affect the device, I don't want you to automatically assume that the spirit is there with you. But I want you to be able to know that it's safe to assume that the spirit is communicating with you locally in your environment because the device is local. Okay. Now, radio waves aren't. Radio waves can travel vast distances, sometimes thousands and thousands of miles away. So, that could mean the spirit can communicate with you within that range. It could be thousands and thousands of miles away. The field can modulate the wave that far away. So, that's interesting. I don't know why that would happen, but it's possible. Tell me what you think. Tell me your theories about electromagnetic fields and spirits. Tell me your theories about how they use devices to communicate, how it's possible. Please, because I'd like to hear them, because I do a lot of my own research online, and I try to get, down to the bottom of what people believe and the theories that they formulate based on the data they collect. And that's what I'm doing. I need more data, so please send it my way. This is Justin with Interface Death.